The Disappearance of Emily Carter. The Swamp That Never Let Go. The year was 2012. For Caleb Rowe, this was just another assignment. Rowe worked with a state-sponsored wildlife control unit tasked with tracking and removing invasive predators from the Occofinity Swamp, a sprawling maze of dark water, cypress knees, and tangled undergrowth along the Georgia-Florida border. That morning, he was following the trail of a massive python, an animal that had no business surviving in these waters. The trail led him far beyond marked paths, into a section of swamp untouched by tourists for decades. Beneath the twisted roots of a centuries-old cypress tree, he found the snake's den, a shallow cavity layered with wet leaves, decomposing wood, and thick black silt. After subduing and extracting the snake, Rowe did something he didn't usually do. He inspected the den. As he raked through the debris, his hand brushed against something that didn't belong. It wasn't bone. It wasn't wood. It was hair. Long, soft, tangled together. When he pulled it free, his stomach dropped. It was part of a human scalp. Light brown hair, still intact, and tied to one strand was a small, sun-faded yellow ribbon. Rowe immediately radioed it in. Later analysis would show the python was barely 5 years old, far too young to be responsible. The animal hadn't killed anyone. It had simply made its home where something unspeakable had already happened. DNA testing would link the remains to a case that had haunted investigators. For 26 years, the disappearance of a little girl and what had once been a cold case was about to reopen, with consequences no one expected. Don't forget to subscribe for more interesting stories. The story began on June 14, 1986. The Carter family, James, his wife Elaine, and their 8-year-old daughter Emily, arrived at Pine Hollow Campground, a modest but popular site near the swamp's edge. It was supposed to be a quiet weekend. They set up their tent beneath tall pines, unpacked food, and spent the afternoon walking nature trails. James showed Emily how to spot bird tracks. Elaine laughed as Emily pretended she was a park ranger. The campground had a narrow freshwater stream, about 40 yards from their site, hidden behind thick reeds and cypress trees. As evening fell, humidity settled in like a blanket. Just after 7 p.m., Emily approached her parents. She wanted to rinse her hands and refill her water bottle before dinner. It was a routine her parents trusted. The path was short, the area familiar. James watched his daughter walk away. Pink sneakers, white shirt, her yellow ribbon bouncing in her hair. That was the last time he ever saw her. Vanished. 10 minutes passed. Elaine called out for Emily. No answer. James walked down the path with a flashlight. The stream was empty. The water was still. No footprints. No movement. No sound except insects. 15 minutes later, panic crept in. They searched everywhere, around the tent, near the picnic tables, in the brush. Nothing. No bottle. No struggle. No scream anyone had heard. With no phones and no radio, the Carters drove to the nearest ranger station. At 9 to 12 p.m., Emily Carter was officially reported missing. By dawn, Pine Hollow was sealed off. Over 250 personnel joined the search. Law enforcement, rangers, wildlife officers, volunteers. Tracking dogs picked up Emily's scent at the tent and followed it cleanly to the water's edge. Then it stopped. Divers searched the creek. Nothing. Investigators considered 3 possibilities: animal attack, accidental drowning, abduction. The banks showed no blood, no drag marks, no torn clothing. The water was searched for days. Nothing surfaced. One camper mentioned seeing an older dark pickup truck leaving around dusk, but couldn't remember details. By week 3, hope was gone. After 1 month, The search ended. Emily Carter became another missing child poster. Another unsolved case. Time passes. Years passed. The Carters moved away. The campground stayed open. The swamp kept its silence. Until a snake hunter found a ribbon in the dark. DNA confirmed the remains belonged to Emily Carter. The case was reclassified from missing person to homicide. Detective Robert Hale, a cold case specialist, took over. Mapping old search records, Hale noticed something chilling. The location of the snake den, nearly 2 miles from the campground, had never been searched on foot, only flown over. It was swampy, difficult, and deliberately avoided. A new excavation began. 5 days in, metal detectors picked up a signal beneath shallow water. Bricks. And beneath them, rotted burlap fibers. Emily's body had been weighed down, hidden, left to disappear. Wildlife and time had scattered what remained. This was no accident. This was planned. Hale searched old park employment records. One name stood out: Walter Briggs, former maintenance worker. Fired weeks before Emily vanished. Owned a dark pickup. Worked in remote swamp zones. Known for volatile behavior. Briggs had died in 1997. No confession. No DNA. No trial. Only circumstantial evidence. In 2013, authorities held a final press conference. Emily Carter's death was ruled a homicide. A likely suspect was identified posthumously. But legally, the case could not be closed. The swamp had kept its secret long enough. And though the truth surfaced, justice never fully did. Somewhere beneath the cypress roots, the past still waits, silent, watching. If you have thoughts or theories, leave them below. And as always, stay safe out there.